Now let's talk about market analysis. In a market, we have two parties. Consumers are the ones who demand the goods or services, while producers are the ones who supply the goods or services. Today we're going to focus on demand, and demand shows how the price of a product affects the quantity demanded for that product. Here's an example, and today we're going to look at Alex's demand schedule for apples. When the price is $1 per apple, Alex's quantity demanded is 5 apples per week. When the price is $1.5 per apple, Alex's quantity demanded is 3 apples per week. And when the price is $5 per apple, Alex's quantity demanded is 0 apples per week. The quantity demanded for apples depends on the price of apples, as we saw in Alex's demand schedule. Mathematically, we can say that quantity demanded is a function of price. As the price of apples increases from $1 to $1.5 to $5 an apple, Alex's quantity demanded for apples decreases from 5 to 3 to 0 apples per week. Now let's look at the law of demand. The law of demand states that as the price of a product increases, the quantity demanded for the product decreases. Vice versa, ceteris paribus. In the graph below, we can see the demand curve in red. We can see that price is always on the vertical axis, and quantity is always on the horizontal axis. As the price increases from P1 to P2 in our example, the quantity demanded decreases from Q1 to Q2. With this in mind, we move along the demand curve from point A to point B as the price increased from P1 to P2. Please note that ceteris paribus means all else remains equal. Let's take a look at some factors that change the demand and shift the demand curve. First, let's talk about income. As income increases, demand for normal goods increases, such as computers and cars. But demand for inferior goods decreases, such as used cars and non-brand clothes. Vice versa. The second factor that can change the demand and shift the demand curve is the prices of other products. Two products are substitutes if the demand for one product increases when the price of the other product increases, such as apples and oranges. Two products are complements if the demand for one product increases when the price of the other product decreases, such as SUVs and gasoline. And finally, the seasons of the year can change the demand and shift the demand curve. Demand for skis, for example, increases in the winter. Now let's look at some shifts of the demand curve. Remember, we have price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Note that D0 is our original demand curve. Let's take a look at some examples. If the demand for a product increases, the demand curve shifts to the right, from D0 to D1. In our example, we can see this in the red arrow. Now let's look at the opposite case. If the demand for a product decreases, the demand curve shifts to the left, from D0 to D2. In our graph, we can see that in the blue arrow. Let's take a look at individual demand and how that relates to market demand. In the left panel, we see Tim's demand curve. In the center panel, we see Robin's demand curve. And in the right panel, we see the market demand curve. Now let's take a look. When the price of the good or service is 0, Tim's quantity demanded is B. At that same price of 0, Robin's quantity demanded is C. Thus, if we look at the market demand curve in the right panel, we can see that the market quantity demanded at the price of 0 is B plus C, or the sum of Tim's quantity demanded and Robin's quantity demanded. Now let's take a look at price P1. At the price of P1, Tim's quantity demanded is 0. At that same price of P1, Robin's quantity demanded is A. So, when we look at the market demand curve, the market quantity demanded for the product or service at price P1 is A, because Tim's quantity demanded is 0, while Robin's quantity demanded is A. The sum of A and 0 is just A, so the market quantity demanded at the price of P1 is A. This is all to say that market demand is the horizontal sum of individual demands. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.